Everybody, welcome back. Today we're going to do Justice Society of America, issue number 23. I like my Justice Society of America comics, covered by Alex Ross. That's what I think. Art by Jerry Ordway, Geoff Johns, Bob Wiacek is involved too. And we see, that Hawkman is pretty angry because he's been booted from the league. And he's angry because he says, I'm the founder of the team. I led this team longer than any of you. But then the rest say, hey, you need to go for a while because you are, what happened in the last issues when, he stands, basically against the rest of the GSA, right? And he basically divided the team, right? He says, those kids who sided with me are the future, Alan. They're as tired as I am of coddling criminals and waiting on you to tell them when it's right to follow their moral compass. You can punish them with a timeout, because that's what they're saying. Hey, you can come back later, but for now you have a timeout. He says, I'm done, and then he storms off, right? And so Jay says, let him go, Alan. He will be back. Hawkman always returns. Now, we have something here that has been was pretty important in, I believe, the Justice Society from 2006. So the volumes before this, and I believe I said it maybe a couple of times. Maybe I should have reviewed those books before this one, but it is what it is. So we have Felix Faust here, and this is Isis, Black Adam's wife, girlfriend, companion, spouse, right? And she was supposedly dead, but he succeeded to bring her back from the dead, but she is in his thrall, right? And he's a cruel guy. He's a bad wizard. But then something happens, some kind of mini earthquake, and he says, "What are you doing?" He said, Isis flower growing here? No, I know what you're doing. You're making a trail. You're leading him here. And he says, where's the scarab? But it's too late because Black Adam is here. And he says, I'm going to make this quick, I promise. I love Black Adam. He's cruel. He's vicious. He's strong. I like it a lot. Anyway, so he basically wants to kill him, but not before he brings back Isis, right? He says, return her to me. And then he's using a spell. And she says, where am I? The Four Horsemen. They are dead, Adriana. But you're not any longer. The power of the gods are strong within you. Now, if you look closely, you see that he has normal ears. And then, I don't know, when he touches Isis, he has then Spock ears, pointed ears. So the wizard says, where's the scarab? And I am... Also, this glasses, I believe this is a nod to his son, who is, I'm not sure what his name anymore, but he was on the later books on The Outsiders. So Adam says, this is how you control my beloved? This is part of the scarab necklace used to imprison me in the temple of Abu Simbel. And he says, you don't kill me. I can give you the other half so you will never be imprisoned again. Find it now and return my amulet as well. With this and the scarab from the necklace, he held sway over both of us. Adam, I could not resist his weak magic. And you were able to dupe me at Fate's tower. Your heads will sit at the foot of my throne. But she says, no, Adam, I don't want his head. I want something else. Uh-oh. That's his jewels we're talking about, right? Meanwhile, we going back to the GSA headquarters, right? So our heroes have a little bit more a discussion about how to move forward, right? Alan says here, hey, Superman let it out clearly, the world needs better good guys. I'm not sure we accomplished that. I'm disappointed we weren't a united team against Gog from the start, but in the end, when it really counted, we were. All right, so like, in the previous issues, there is a, dissident in the ranks, some were... against Gog, and the other ones were for Gog, right? And that created a rift between them. But it's not really their fault. It's just more that they've been swayed to, follow their own paths and feelings and views of, how they view things in life, right? And people say, well, everybody makes mistakes, right? And we can just move on. He says, but Mr. Fairplay guy here says, that's not his name, by the way, but I like to call him that. And not everyone learns from them. There was evidence with the way Adam Smasher dealt with damage, and damage isn't exactly back in line. Still, this is on us. Our lack of forceful leadership created that opportunity for the kids to side with Hawkman, right? Maybe this should be a case-by-case basis. Okay, if we're talking about making cuts, who do we think should come back, right? So, well, they talk about, Amazing Man, the daughter of Black Lightning, Mr. America, Steel, but they all have their own thing right now, right? Even Starman. And damage is a problem, that I know. Jesse and Rick vouching for him, and for you, the Master. The Atom Smasher all over. I say he's out. I say he's in. So the thing with the Atom Smasher is that the Atom Smasher, if I remember it correctly, he went completely bonkers and crazy. He was the original, well, the follow-up of the original member is called the Atom, and then Atom Smasher was at some point the Atom, or called Atom Smasher later on, or maybe at the beginning. I'm not entirely sure anymore. And then Damage is now, I believe, the original bloodline from the Atom. I'm not entirely sure anymore. Anyway, so we have Cyclone and Tommy. They're staying, right? So Mr. Terrific says, well, they all have potential, every one of them. But then Courtney says, do you remember when I first showed up Green Lantern? I stole Silverter's Pemberton's cosmic belt and became the new Star-Spangled Kid to make my stepfather mad. That's my big secret origin. I did it all for the wrong reasons. When I started, I wouldn't have learned otherwise without the Justice League. So Alan says, well, yeah, but we don't need another Atom Smasher on our hands. So, but then Atom Smasher comes in, right? He says, hey, what are you doing here? An hour ago, Felix Faust showed up at Dr. Fate's place. A couple of carts have showed up a deck. Black Adam is back. Now, how he knows that? Well, he was basically befriended Black Adam, and they were close friends, right? And in the previous volume of the GSA, and of course it went all south, right? But once upon a time they were friends, and how do you say, Cat? why am I forgetting his name? He says, hey, we don't need another 2-ton trample like you one had last week. So then Atom Smasher says, hey, I was only to show Damage the importance. I want back on the team. Albert Summers also willing, but Rick alone. Rick is the, Damage, right? Give me a chance to finally honor Al Pratt's memory, right? So I believe he's not related in blood to Al Pratt, the original Adam, but more like, honoring his memory by becoming the Atom, or Atom Smasher in this case. Wildcat, yeah, sure. Anyway, and then we go to, the Wizard's Fortress, because I thought, who is this guy? William Batson, never heard of him, so I looked it up. It seems that he was created in the Trials of Shazam, that's the comic book, and it's been Billy Batson is now the Wizard, because the Wizard is dead and the power needed to go somewhere. Therefore, he is not Shazam anymore. Someone else is Shazam, and he's now basically the Wizard. And then Adriana Isis comes in. He says, "You're alive," but then Black Adam comes in and just trashes on Bill. Well, it's not Billy. It's William. I'm not sure why he's called William. I couldn't find anything about that, by the way. He says, "You put her up to this. What do you want?" he says. "Are you here to free the sins, to get revenge, or just get your nose bloodied again?" So they're having a fight, and it looks great, right? Well, Adriana is, sitting on the throne with this book. "What did you do to her? It's not what I did. It's what the world did to her," he says. It looks great. "Your time here monitoring events from your perch atop the rock. How long has it been? Long enough for you to grow soft, like a wizard does. I have spent my time away from you, hunted and hopeless, and blaming everyone for your murderous actions. I'll take full responsibility for every life I've taken, and will take." Yeah, he's a murderous son of a bitch. right? More ads. If it was to me, I would leave behind this world forever. He beats him silly. We will leave, Adam. After we find the harness the 7 other deadly sins. Wait, what? Other deadly sins? Wait. Because these are, the deadly sins, right? These are their prisons, basically. So there are 7 deadly sins in here, 7 statues, all the deadly sins of humanity. And now there's other deadly sins, right? The man-made sins that led to the murder of my brother and myself. But for that, I need more power. I need the rock of eternity. She says, hold him still. Isis, I didn't choose the rock chose me. I won't allow you to take control. That's not how it works. But that is how it works. And she's now stolen Shazam's power, or the wizard's. And he's gone with only the amulet or the necklace. She says, where is William? Is he imprisoned in the scarab as you were? Or perhaps his God cast him out of paradise? This barren rock is no paradise. She says, we shall cleanse the earth of those who spread pestilence, famine, war, and death. There is much to be done, my mighty Adam. So, a little bit context here. Isis was basically the good, the yin and yang of Black Adam. She was a good person. She was not a murderous creature like he is, but she fell in love with him. And then she was murdered along with her brother. And she was, like I said, she was his counterpart. But there's something happened to her during her resurrection, I think, right? It makes her evil, I think. Meanwhile, we have Billy here, and he wants to, get the power of the wizards, right? He's yelling Shazam, but nothing happens. And then he goes to his adopted parents and explained it all, but then the GSA comes in and he says, we received a distress signal from the location from Captain Marvel. Yeah, he's here, right? I send a signal for Captain Marvel. Now, this is a little bit strange because he is Captain Marvel. Before he become the wizard. Now, why would he send a distress call for Captain Marvel while he is supposedly be Captain Marvel? Well, the answer is then at the trials of Shazam, and I'm not sure that is canon here or that is still going on, but it seems that Freddy Jr. Or Freddy, Shazam Jr., I believe, is now Captain Marvel. And he explains it a little bit, or Freddy being a champion, but married. So we have also Mary Marvel, right? She is, gone rogue, I guess. She fell in with a bad crowd. Not sure what that story is. So Wildcat comes in. He says, where is he? Where is he, kid? And Courtney says, Wildcat, back off. Okay, you rough him up. But she knows that Billy is Captain Marvel. And basically he's now revealing that he is the leader of the Marvel family. He used to be Captain Marvel, right? But then we see Shazam and Isis here on the throne. So the question we put you is, will you oppose us or will you join us? As long as Billy's involved, I'm involved, and I promise I'll behave, mostly. So I have a good notice who this is. I just said it a minute ago. Anyway, it leads us to the next issue. And it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun, guys. This is a fun comic, a fun series. Stick around and find out. See you later, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye.